Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome to MedWell Unscripted Live. I'm so excited. This is my favorite day of the week. Every other week when we're doing our live, we have some really great guests and some great topics. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Emily. Hey, Peter.
Hello.
Hi.
Today, we're going to be talking about tinctures and the top 5 reasons why you should use them and consider them as part of your medicinal plan. So Peter Glantz is the founder and CEO of Howl's Tinctures, and we have our lovely very own Emily Waxman, our Director of Community Outreach. And I forgot to tell you my name. My name's April, and I'm here today, and we're going to have a great conversation. Please do, friends, make sure if you have questions, we will get to all of them today. Post them in the chat. And also, if you're watching the recording, please do make comments and leave questions because we'll be sure to get back to you and answer those as well. All right, so let's get started. Emily, tell us a little bit about what you do for MedWell and how you work with our community partners.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Emily Waxman. I'm the community outreach person over here at MedWell, and I get to go out and talk to amazing people like Peter, as well as I get to see all the dispensaries out there so that I can introduce myself. They get to know us. They get to put a face with a name so that they will feel comfortable about sending their patients our way. I also get to talk to a lot of the folks that are on the adult use side of things and get to explain the medical program, why they would want to consider the medical program, so that they could make sure that they get to understand items like what Peter has and get to see how this could help them to live a pain-free life.
Awesome. And so, Peter, tell us a little bit about, I hear you are a rock star in around out and about in Massachusetts. And so tell us a little bit about you, your role, and a little bit about your business.
Sure. I started this as a patient. So I had an eye surgery that went south, in 2012, and the result was, ongoing pain in my eyes, and then the anxiety that I wouldn't be able to continue to work and take care of my family. And someone suggested cannabis as a way to help, relieve those symptoms. And I thought that would be impossible, because I'd smoked weed, and the last time I'd smoked it, it was so strong that I stopped. It made me uncomfortable. And then someone suggested tincture, and I'd been making plant medicines and tinctures and infused oils, for a decade before then. And it really just that snapped into focus that it's just a plant. It's been used as medicine for 5,000 years, and I can make a tincture from it. I did that, and it benefited me. And I was part of a co-op in Rhode Island, how the system worked then, some other patients asked for some. And when you say, I'm a rock star, I've been going around Massachusetts, I do talk to a lot of people, and that's mainly because that's how it started. Other patients in this co-op, I just made it for myself. Other patients asked for some, and when they used it, I made a label, I got it tested just for these 4 people. And a month later, they were, this one woman with a walker was, she moved the walker aside and was dancing around the room. And she's like, I just cleaned my house for the first time here.
That's amazing.
And then so I was like, I have to make, they said, make some more, please. And I did. I felt like I had to. And then, the feedback I got from them, and the feedback I get today when I, in conversations like this, anybody talking on the chat, that's how we learn, how it works, how it benefits people, and what we should do to make it better to benefit more people. So, so that led to this becoming a business, because that was a way to make it accessible to the most people. And so Howl's is a business. We operate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. We're available in dispensaries in both states, both in medical and adult use. And our mission is just to make this valuable plant medicine accessible to as many people as can benefit from it. So Part of that medicine to me is being able to talk with people who can benefit from it and help share some of what I know. And if it seems like it's right for them or for you, if you're watching this, then then I feel like we've done the work that we're supposed to do. So I'm glad to be here, and that's and I'm looking forward to the rest of the conversation.
Nice.
We're glad to
that's
have
an
you.
amazing story. Yeah. So let's kind of start with the basics. We have all different kinds of patients that some are just getting started with their medical marijuana certifications. And then we have some people that have been using cannabis as part of their treatment for a long time. So what is a tincture? Can you just kind of go into a description of what it is? Because I'm not sure that actually everybody does know what it is.
Sure. It's a good question, and I could go very well. I'll try to keep it very simple. It's either an infused oil or alcohol with cannabis infused. In this case, tinctures can be made from all sorts of plants, and it's the form of medicine that was most commonly used around the world. For thousands of years. In fact, cannabis tincture was the most common method of consumption, before prohibition. And there's that's how it was prescribed by doctors in America and around the world. So let me explain a little more. So essentially, here's a bottle of tincture. And you just use it. It depends. I guess part of the issue is saying what is tincture is there's a couple of methods of its production.
Sure.
And so the question is there's tinctures that are made that way that's been done for a long time, which is that's the way Howl's is made. It's called whole plant infusion. And that's we just take the flower, the cannabis flower, and put it into organic avocado oil with low heat and stirring for a long time. That means that all those beneficial properties just infuse into that oil, and then you're able to use it in a way that you don't have to smoke, and you get all those same benefits from the plant. And the way that you use it in this case is just drop it in your mouth and swallow. There's a measured dropper, so you can really determine exactly the right amount for you. So in the case of Howl's, at least, and it's just different among different brands of tinctures how they operate. So fundamentally, tincture is just infused oil or alcohol, but the benefits and how we offer it is that every bottle's the same. Oops, I'm sorry, my phone ringing.
That's okay. That's part of the live stream, right? Things happen. Real life is going on.
I thought the sound was off. 1 second. There we go.
And so that's funny because you were saying earlier about what do you learn something every time you do this, and I never say check your cell phone. A big thing that I found was important. This is what I learned from patients, and I mean, this is important to me, was that it was consistent. So we have a measured dropper, and if you so you can find out if you take a half a milliliter or a full milliliter, you can and you find that works for you, then next week, next year, you can take that same amount, because we formulated the same potency every bottle. So, that's an important thing to consider when you're looking at tinctures, is to say, if you buy a tincture, whether it's Howl's or another product, you want to know if it's going to be the same the next time you buy that bottle. Sure.
Right.
Because to have that, to know, because if you find that it works for you and relieves your symptoms, you want to be able to count on it. So I think that's an important aspect of tincture when you're asking about it at a dispensary, to say, hey, is this going to be the same strength next time? Because a lot of people get frustrated, and I did. That was an issue that was important to me when I started, and to all the patients I've worked with. Then the other thing to know about tincture is that, in terms of your options, there's the tincture like I described how we make it, which, some history on that was, the the first person to popularize that method was the father of Chinese medicine 5,000 years ago. And I'm sure that he learned it from people before him. And he was just sort of the famous one who broadcast it and then got written about. So, and there's a document from 3,500 years ago that describes, his method of production, which is essentially what we do. Now, there's more contemporary methods that are also on the market that are made with extract. So those are using, extraction techniques where they may use butane or pressurized gas to remove the cannabinoids like THC or CBD, and then they become, they're molecular and they get mixed into an oil or alcohol. So that's another method that people use to make tincture. And of course, I found that the benefit of having it made the way that we do it, the results are that you get the full spectrum of cannabinoids. And they did a 5-university study in Israel, and just the anecdotal evidence I've learned from talking with patients for so long is that there's high, the result is higher efficacy, and also the tolerance doesn't build up. When you have just a sort of individual cannabinoid, like it's just THC or just CBD or just a couple, tolerance builds up. But then when you have there's 113 of these cannabinoids in the plant. And if you're infusing it the way we do, if they're in the plant, they infuse into the oil. If you extract, then you're just pinpointing ones, the well-known ones, and then mixing them back in. So I'd say ask how it's made and decide, and some people benefit from that. Obviously, I'm biased. I think that it's really important that any patient that you try, the options, you think about what makes sense for you and then what works best for you and use that, whether it's Howls or another tincture. But those are the questions I'd ask. Is it always going to be the same potency every time I buy this product, so that I can find a dose and stick with it? And how is it made? Is it made with an extraction or is it an infusion? And that'll give you a lot of information about it. And then of course ask, your doctor or nurse who can give you guidance as well.
Is there different flavors? So you had mentioned kind of part of your process was the cannabis and the avocado oil. So do you add flavor to it, or I'm just thinking about from a taste perspective?
Good question. We don't add flavors. Okay. We keep it simple. Sure. So Howls is just made with organic avocado oil, organic sunflower lecithin, and medical grade cannabis.
So it makes it more pure, right? So it's definitely a healthier choice than adding flavors and different things.
I think so. I come from a sort of whole, that perspective that, keep it simple. It's easy for your body to intake. Those other ingredients have their own benefits. And the key part of it is that we do have different formulas, and they're all made with those ingredients, but we use a different strain for each formula. So for example, the daytime formula, which a lot of people use, because they want to stay alert. This is another thing I learned from patients. When I first started making it, and I was working with this co-op, the cultivator would give me, an assortment of strains, and I would take it and turn it into tincture. And so the relief people found was pretty consistent. They felt that they always got the relief they needed, but then sometimes it would keep them up at night. Sometimes it would make them fall asleep, and they wanted to be able to decide if that would happen. And that's when I learned more about how different strains have different effects. And when you use the method that we use, those effects transfer over. The other methods, because they lose so much, it becomes more of just a singular effect. But with ours, it's strain specific, and that differentiates each formula. So the daytime is a sativa strain, which in this case, reflects what is customarily understood to be the uplifting and creative effects of a sativa. But really, the interesting thing I found is that with those formulas, the THC dominant ones, people generally find relief from any of the daytime, nighttime, or anytime. It's really about when they want to use it.
Right.
And so when you get to the question of flavor, the flavor actually tastes like the plant. It tastes like flower. So, and avocado oil.
Okay.
So a lot of people, the flower has each strain has a distinct flavor. Connoisseurs will talk about this, and that's one thing we found in terms of new patients versus experience. New patients, it's like don't worry about all that stuff. Just find the right amount.
Right.
Try it. See and trust your body and experience. If it seems to provide relief, just repeat that and don't worry. I recommend not focusing on chasing one terpene or one cannabinoid over another. Right. Really find what works for you, and then you can count on it. That's part of the sort of plant medicine approach versus a pharmaceutical approach, which is always chasing something specific.
Right.
But that being said, there are people who learn more and they get deeper into those details. And especially connoisseurs, a lot of smokers will tell me that they can use this tincture, and when they take it, they will tell me what strain it is because they can taste the flavor of the same flavor profile as when they smoke it. So it tastes like a flower, and that's a very natural, earthy flavor. Right. So for Howls, there's people who love that flavor. There's people who they're unaccustomed to it, and then initially are turned off. And those people, though, it's frequently they come back and they say I didn't like the flavor, and can I have another bottle? And then because the relief was worth it to them. Sure. Right. The taste is for a moment. It's like a moment. The relief lasts for hours and really daily. And beyond that, as they start to connect that flavor with the relief, they start to like the flavor. So it's really something I think important for everyone, especially if you're new to any kind of plant medicine. This isn't, we think that adding sugar, adding flavors to mask the medicine actually reduces its value, because if you taste it, you taste the flower, that's what you're getting. The cannabis flower, and that is the source of the medicine. Masking flavors to me is trying to hide what it is. And like I said, I come from a sort of plant medicine herbal history of medicine perspective, and those things. You can take some honey with your to make the medicine go down. If you want to, some people will do that, or put it in a drink. You don't have to, if you really don't like it, you don't have to, you can put it in a drink or take some honey afterward. Right. But the most people either like it or find it a neutral taste.
Peter, is there different potencies to the tinctures? So is there different levels, or are they all is it a standard THC potency? Yeah.
So we have for Howls, there's we have 6 formulas, and so the seed dominant ones are the nighttime, daytime, and anytime. And so those are all the same, formulated to the THC level. So that means that, and they come in single strength and double strength. So the single strength is 7 milligrams per milliliter, and a milliliter is just the top line on the dropper. We chose that potency because for the years I was doing this for patients in the co-op, as well as for several years after that with just one dispensary in Rhode Island, the vast majority of patients found that amount was or for the broadest spectrum, that amount was effective, but not too strong. So it was a good baseline. However, I want to emphasize that if this is your first time using cannabis or it's early, we recommend starting at 0.25 because that's just 1.75 milligrams. It's some people use that as a micro dose, and some people will feel that and find the relief they need with just that amount. Others discover that they don't have any effect that is noticeable at that amount, they increase it, and they may realize, oh, their system requires a stronger, a more potent tincture. That's why we have the double strength that's at 14 milligrams per milliliter. And so, it brings up a really important point, I think, in how to find the right amount for yourself is that, first, if you're using any product, but Howl's in particular, don't necessarily think if you took a 5 milligram edible and now that 5 milligrams of this is going to be the same thing, because the whole plant method results in, often people report that it's stronger with less THC. So you just want to start fresh. And, if you're experienced, you can start higher if you're comfortable with that. But if not, this is a method that I recommend to find your dose, which is just start at 0.25 if you're new. Try it, wait all day, see if you find relief. Listen to what it is. If you feel it works, you can stick there. If you don't feel anything, increase, or it's mild and you want more, increase to 0.5 milliliter. Then 3/4, then a full milliliter. Some people, with the regular strength will get to 2 or 3 milliliters. And that's when, and really, it's important to realize that it's not about your weight, your height, your gender, your life experience.
That's a great point for people. That's huge.
It is. It is. And I'm so happy you mentioned that, because there's so many new patients that really wouldn't have any idea where to start. And we certainly don't want anyone taking too big of a dose and having a bad sort of situation for themselves that would put them in a negative place to not want to, continue with this treatment. So it's so wonderful that you touched upon starting at that low amount and seeing, where the day takes them from there. I think that's perfect advice.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit of time to start to find the right amount. But then once you find it, you can rely on it. And that's what I think most people are looking for, is something to provide relief that's reliable.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. No, we have a question from our audience, from our friend Tori. How long does it take to feel effects with tincture?
It's a great question. So it can take it depends on a few factors. Broadly, it's generally 15 minutes to an hour. People, again, it's similar to the dosage. Your system will influence it, as well as if you've eaten. And so if you, so we recommend using it consistently on an empty stomach, so you get a consistent time when normally results in more consistent duration before it takes effect. If you've eaten, sometimes it'll get caught up in your digestive process and it can take a little longer. It'll still work. It's just that it won't be as consistent with the timing. And, for more advanced users, or probably a lot of people have heard this already, but, you can put it under your tongue and hold it there. People, if you're really, it's recommended, if you really want to do it right, to have it on your tongue, get the full sublingual benefits. That's to hold it for 2 minutes and then swallow. That is more likely to have a faster onset, because that goes directly through the membrane and into your bloodstream more quickly. And there's conversations people have about whether one is more effective than the other. This is another area where you individually can determine if you want to put it just on your tongue and swallow, or if you want to put it under your tongue. Just trust yourself once you feel the effects and what works for you. Both, we rarely have people who say one is more effective than the other, although some people do find it onsets faster by doing it under the tongue. So if that's important to you, you can try that.
So how long does it last? What are the recommended dosing on a tincture?
So it lasts 2 to 4 hours. It's really the typical experience that that is reported is that it's sort of a slow ramp up. So you sort of start feeling it. And gently rises until it reaches a plateau, which is where, that's what you're trying to find with the dose, is where that plateau is. And then that lasts for the 2 to 4 hours, and then it slowly starts to fade. Mm-hmm. So, individual results do vary. We have had people say that it will last all day, and there's people who, rarely do we get told it's less than 2 hours. So it's more likely, commonly it's 2 to 4 hours, but it's important to be aware that it can last longer. And that's one of the huge benefits that people like, because if you're smoking, there's a real, first it's a fast ramp up. It's very, it's right there. And then it's normally like a pretty fast drop at a certain point. And also it's normally under an hour for that process to happen. So there's a lot of, or with vaping, and that means a lot of people you have to go outside to, get more relief, or you are, it's harder to do if you're going, if you're going to a movie, not that necessarily people are going to movies right now, but if you're going out and you're on the town, you don't necessarily want to stop and smoke or have vape, and so this allows you to have a long, much longer duration of benefits without having to take more. And without having to, and people who care about discretion, they don't want everyone to know the medicine they're using.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't create smoke. It doesn't create vapor. Even, people go to if you do take the bottle with you, you can throw it in your purse or in your pocket, your bag.
Right.
If you start to feel it dropping and you want more, it's easy enough to go to the bathroom or somewhere private and just drop in your mouth the right amount and put it away. Yeah. And no one walks in and is like, what's going on here? Oh my goodness. I smell something. It's a party. It's like, that's not, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I want to say that people do, I think there's a false dichotomy sometimes between, and that has just been created by the state, really,
sure,
that there's medical and recreational use, but there's certainly, some distinctions in approach and why people are using it. But it's, I always think of like laughter is the best medicine. Mm. Some of the effects of cannabis, it's the medicine is in that you're more comfortable, and that means that you feel happier and you can do recreational things, and it's so you can think, I'm using this recreationally, but it's also helping you, relieve your anxiety or your pain. So I think especially for people with any kind of condition, working with, MedWell and learning about what the right thing is for them to do. And I see this as a medicine regardless of how people say they use it.
Yeah.
And so it's so valuable to have a guide and experienced people helping you through that. That's why I think the medical program and places like MedWell are so important. That at the same time, it doesn't have to always be so deadly serious, because that's not necessarily good medicine. A little bit of joy and happiness.
100%.
I love that joy. Did you see what Anne was talking about, if she could add it to her coffee?
Yeah, that's a lot of people do that. The coffee in the morning is a big, I hear a lot of people do that. Since it's an oil, it doesn't like mix in fully, so it's just to be aware of that. But I've been hearing lately, people do the keto diet, which involves putting like butter or oils into coffee. Yeah. So that's been increasingly,
no sugar.
Fat, no sugar. So they do that. It aligns with that approach to diet. But and also, putting it into coffee is definitely doable and I recommend it. I think the combination of cannabis and caffeine can be.
Our friend Tom's asking, is oil better than alcohol as a solvent? That's
a great question, Tom. So I I think it depends on how it's used and the method. I actually think that alcohol and oil are the two best options for making tincture. Those are the methods that people have used for a long time. So I think when it's alcohol and it's being made in the way where it's essentially soaking it for a long time and it's infusing everything in there, it's not trying to remove things and from it. I think that alcohol and oil are really similar in their qualities. I can say that I started making it with alcohol. That's, tinctures are are most commonly made with alcohol. And it's less common to do oil and among all plants for a variety of reasons, because some aren't fat soluble. But the reason we chose oil was because among those patients that I first started making it for, the first some of them were in recovery and they didn't want to have alcohol. And so when I made it with the avocado oil, people found the same benefits as with alcohol, but without that concern. And also alcohol if you put it on your tongue or under your tongue, it burns, and that's a obstacle for a lot of people. So, but in terms of quality medicine, I absolutely think alcohol and oil are both equally great, as long as they're made the right way. People do now use alcohol as an extraction method where they are doing multiple processes, which actually remove some of the beneficial properties. So I think that that's something to, even things like chlorophyll, which everybody is, chlorophyll is people take it as a supplement for their health, and so that's a situation where sometimes that's being removed when in modern alcohol processes as a solvent. But people, it's known to be good for your skin. And that's and you think about it, is chlorophyll is what converts the energy of the sun into energy that grows the plant. Like, plants are much more efficient than humans in terms of getting energy. And so that it's this powerful substance that does that. And if we take it, it's known best to help our skin, which is our connection to the sun. So I'm not, this isn't necessarily what a doctor or nurse will talk about in terms of the benefits, but I think that's part of, of understanding that how our approach is, that we recognize that there's things that may be not unique to the cannabis plant, just unique to plants, that if you have in the tincture, it's part of the medicine. And so this question of alcohol or oil, both when using the right process, are equally good in my opinion. But alcohol is used sometimes through multiple processes to remove parts that doesn't happen in our method with the avocado oil. So I'd ask about that. If it's super refined and if it's become a distillate before it's been reintroduced into something else, then I think it still could be great for a lot of people, but I don't consider that quite as complete an infusion as just leaving it all in.
Awesome. So it's funny because wow,
I know.
I've learned so much, Peter. It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
So, our name of our live today is the top 5 reasons why you should use them. So what do you have for recommendations of how people could use tinctures in their medical plan? Is there certain conditions that maybe it helps with their pain more than others?
Well, so I can tell you that there was a study a few years ago in Massachusetts that said 67% of medical patients are using cannabis for anxiety, chronic pain, or insomnia. And we see similar with Howls. That's a lot of people use it for those reasons. And those and tincture is particularly helpful for those, because with chronic pain, it lasts a long time. And also the tincture is something that, because of how it's used, it doesn't just go, it's more of a balanced relief between body and mind. So where smoking is definitely hits your head very strong. So a lot of people's pain is in their body. And so they find that this helps, and it also because it lasts a long time and it's more consistent. Then similarly with anxiety, it's really helpful because of the control over dosage. Because people with anxiety often find that there's levels of cannabis use that can benefit their anxiety, and then there's levels that can exacerbate it, or there's certain strains. So with anxiety, we recommend going towards our nighttime formula because it's very relaxing. It doesn't have this sort of energizing effect that can make more racy thoughts for people who are anxious. Although doesn't mean that people don't use the daytime for anxiety, but we don't recommend starting there.
Sure.
And then for the insomnia, similarly, the nighttime is just, people like it because it doesn't just help with falling asleep, which often, smoking or other methods will do, but because of the tinctures stays in your body a long time, and when you sleep, your metabolism slows down also, so it actually lasts longer than when you're awake. So it helps with falling asleep, but it also can help with the staying asleep.
Yeah.
Because it's staying in your body, and that's a big reason why a tincture can be beneficial for insomnia, because so many people, it's not just the falling asleep, it's the waking up.
Right.
And a lot of it isn't just it turns off your brain and makes you fall asleep. It's that it's for a lot of people, the insomnia is caused by pain or anxiety or some other condition. So what often we found is that it's not that the tincture is like a sleeping pill that just knocks you out. It's that it relieves those conditions, which then your body naturally falls asleep. Yeah. And so by having it can last, if it's 2 to 4 hours during the day, it might be 6 to 8 while you're sleeping. So that means that you can have it because it's just slower metabolism. So I think that those are reasons you might choose tincture over another cannabis medicine, even though, people use all the forms for those 3 most commonly. And, we also do, there's from beyond that other 30% there's a lot of different conditions people use it for, from fibromyalgia to Crohn's disease to relief from symptoms of chemotherapy and those things that all those things. But each of those, a lot of people like it because of the reasons I've talked about already. Just why you don't have to smoke it. It's gentle on your system.
So I can't post the comment, but I'm going to read it to you because I think it's important, because it's a great little blurb, but it covers your face on the screen. So I want to make sure everybody still can see you. Okay. I have allergic reactions. This is from Leslie. I have allergic reactions to standard medicines for my fibromyalgia. I am in constant real pain and discomfort. My VA doctors know this, and the strongest medicine I have is lorazepam 0.5 milligrams, and I get 15 of these each month for anxiety. Whoopee. I try so many different types of natural relief, and I think I will try Howl's. I love CBDs. So you've made a believer, and hopefully that'll help. The tinctures can help Leslie with their pain.
Well, yeah, we do we do get a lot of reports for fibromyalgia that it's helpful. And I didn't mention before, but we have CBD formulas. They are, we have a 10-to-1, a 2-to-1, and a 1-to-1. And those ratios were really things that patients have asked for. So I'm looking for, Anne, if you try it, please, send us an email at hello@howls.com or on Instagram @howlsmedicines, and give us a report, because and also if you have any more questions, we'll just answer them directly. And of course, your doctor or nurse can also help.
Awesome. So let's, I want to respect everybody's time, and wow, my brain is exploding, and it's been a lot of great conversation in the chat. So tell the audience where they can find you. We've been posting your website there, but where they can find Howl's, and get some tinctures to help them manage their pain. And a little bit, I know you have some exciting stuff coming up, so why don't you share with all of us?
Yeah. Well, we are currently well, the best way to see which dispensaries we're at is at howls.com. That just has a little map. And then we also, in this fall, we are fortunate that we're going to be able to expand. We've been in the same dispensaries and making sure that part of our mission is consistent availability, continuous availability, so that if you find that Howls works for you, when you go back, it's going to be there. Now, we strive for that, and we're about 90% effective at it, and always trying to get to 100. Mainly it's logistics in the new cannabis industry that can sometimes cause delays. But because of that, we didn't go into new dispensaries just to get our product out to new places. People who rely on it, they can count on we're going to get it to them consistently.
That's
so
awesome.
Now we're in a new facility, and our partner has been able to increase their grow. And so that means that we're going to be able to expand into new dispensaries this fall. So if you try it and it's been a bit of drive for you, look for that expansion by following us on Instagram at Howls Medicines, or we'll add it to the map. So if you look in November, all those new locations will be added, and we'll be incrementally adding over time as we have more access to plant material.
That's
so
great.
So I encourage, currently people do often drive a long distance. So always make sure if that's going to be the case. All the dispensaries know about how much people rely on Howl, so you can call ahead of time or look at their online menu to make sure what you want is there. And as I said, it'll almost always be there, but if it's a couple days before the next delivery, sometimes it does run out. So just always make sure to call. And everyone at all these dispensaries, we've trained people and we've talked to them, so they also are really good at talking with patients and helping you find what's right for you. The medical dispensaries, they really know a lot because they talk with so many patients, and they hear things. So if there's a condition you have and you want to ask whether it helps, none of us can say definitively, but they can at least tell you what other people report and give you some guidance.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a great that's a great thing for patients to know. Is there specific questions they should ask, like when they're working with a patient care representative in the dispensary?
Well, I think that I would ask, if they have any other patients with similar conditions that they've talked to, and so if you're looking at a Howls formula, which formula do they use? A lot of times they'll know because people like to talk about it when they come in after it's worked. They're like, "This daytime is, give me more of that," So the first conversation can be very serious, and then people often like to tell the story. So I'd say ask if they have other patients with the same symptoms, and if they found relief with any particular formula. And then also keep in mind I'd say also ask if you're at a dispensary and if they don't have Howls, ask those questions. Is this going to be the same potency the next bottle as it is now? Will it be available? How consistently available is it? And how is it made? Is it made from an isolate or a distillate, or is it made from the whole plant with the full spectrum? I think that those are the big questions that will inform you. And also, if you try it, it'll let you know, oh, I tried this tincture that was made from distillate and it doesn't work. Okay, I want to try one that has the whole plant and see if that works. It's not, all tinctures are not the same. So the more informed you are about how they're made, will allow you to decide which method works for you.
Awesome.
So
we have one question here from John. Can Howls be found in other states?
Well, right now it's Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and so that right now those are the only two states.
Sure. Are you
I
looking to
can say
expand?
that Well, yeah. I mean, we are looking to expand, but in a sustainable way. So
Sure.
our rapid growth for its own sake is not our MO. But we have been building our system. In Massachusetts, has been a great opportunity for us to build our system for sustainability, for our, training staff, for our equipment, all of the things that are necessary for us to be easily transferred into another state and do it successfully and consistently the way that we're doing it in Massachusetts. So after this next expansion in Massachusetts, we're gonna be open to people who might want to work with us in other states, because our mission is really just accessibility, and because when I started, I've always, I just felt this responsibility to make it available to people because of the relief they were getting. And then I didn't realize until 4 or 5 years in, when I started connecting more with people who are in the industry, that this tincture that we make is made differently than other tinctures, and that means that there's some people who it's the only thing that works for them. And so that's why I'm passionate about getting it available to people. And the trick of it is that people could make it on their own, or other businesses could try to make it. But the basic thing that makes us able to do it at a scale is that because of the years I was doing it by myself and having to make more and more while having a whole other career and time, I was able to determine sort of different, agitation times and temperatures and all the real specifics, so that we can infuse it with enough of the cannabinoids to make it commercially viable. If those other methods, the reasons they're used is because they pull out that THC or CBD at a high percentage, and that means that they can turn it into more products, and the time and that gives them more profit and more revenue. And if you just make this, using a whole plant infusion, like in your crock pot, you'll get maybe 30 or 40% of those cannabinoids. And or if you really just, but if you do it with the method, we get the 70 or 80% required to make it sustainable as a business. So I really feel like we want to be in other states, because right now we feel like we have something that's important for people to have access to, and to go and get it to them, as long as we can do it sustainably and treat ourselves with kindness, and treat everybody who uses it respectfully. That's important to us too. So because part of the medicine is really how it's made, and how we treat people who use it and who make it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter. So friends, you can find out more about Howl's tinctures at howls.com. And just want to say thank you so much to Peter and Emily today for all your time. You definitely have educated all of us, whether we are a newbie to tinctures or we've been using them for a while. So thank you so much. And all of you friends that are watching, definitely stop by medwellhealth.net. We have some great information on demystifying tinctures. And if you have any questions, our team is always here to help you and walk you through the process. And also, if you are in need of your medical marijuana certification, we offer telemedicine appointments, and we have offices throughout Massachusetts. So stop by medwellhealth.net. Thank you so much for watching today, friends. And if you are catching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment and a question, and I promise we will get back to you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.